good morning. So, welcome to this edition of Prologue. Now, as a prologue is an introduction and provides a background or sets a context to any book or a play of the events that unfold after that. So these are the pre-events. Same way, prologue delves deeper into the lives of visionaries and philosophers, guides, people, trendsetters in their industry, and what led them to where they are today. So today we have one of my personal guides and mentor, Mr. Ashok Thomas, the CEO of Global Supply Chain in Canada, and I would bring to you and how he became where he is today. And without much ado, Ashok, please go ahead, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you very much, Ganga. It's always great to talk to you. First of all, congratulations in your efforts and obviously the results of setting up PROLOG.
Thank you.
And I thank you for it because I have made some very good friends as part of the network. We've done good business. It's been fantastic to participate in the events that you have arranged.
Thank you.
I respond to your comments about people in the industry who have been in this business for some time. I've been privileged to be a freight forwarder since 1981. I have actually spent maybe a few months away from the freight forwarding business to try something else, but I realized at heart I am a freight forwarder, and freight forwarding is a business which is essentially interpreting the complex dynamics that exist in our logistics and supply chain world, and then interpreting it so that our clients can benefit from it.
Wow.
Many people don't think that this is what they're doing, but this is really what you're doing. If you really think about what is the core element of what we do as freight forwarders.
Wonderful.
Wow. And I would also like to reflect on the fact that we have been called many things since we started. We were called cargo agents, and we evolved into freight forwarders, and then we started to use the word of logistics and then supply chain and so on. However, this is the same thing.
Right.
Interpret dynamics and translate it, standardize it for our clients.
Interesting. But that is really quite an insight. However, when did you realize that you have this entrepreneurial streak in you? When did you think that you wanted to build your own business? Why did you want to become an entrepreneur? What are the circumstances that led to you being self-employed rather than being under someone else?
Every organization goes through a number of phases. There is obviously the entrepreneurial phase, there is the stabilizing phase, and then there comes a point where the organization stops growing and becomes what we call one of the has-beens, and at that point we start to deteriorate unless you re-strategize your organization. So I was in an organization, a good organization, no doubt, but it went through that entrepreneurial phase where it did very innovative things, and we patented designs for containers, and we had our own aviation company, and it grew at an amazing pace. But by 1989, it had lost its momentum, and I felt that I was not growing. And that is the time I decided to set out and start my own company. And that is still what I am doing. In reality, if you are not growing and evolving, you are dying. And where I'd like to be part of an organization that is growing and evolving. So that's when I left the organization that I used to work for and started my own company.
Wow, that is really inspiring. But obviously, when you start your own enterprise, you do that with a planning. You obviously would have talked to people who would have promised you support and all that. But when you actually start, you realize that probably people did not keep up their promise. So how did you get your first customer, and what was the toughest challenge that you faced as an entrepreneur in the early days?
Well, you may think that you have thought it through and you have done a lot of planning and so on. However, I assure you, unless you have some stars in your eyes, and unless you have that ability to take that leap of faith, you will never go into becoming an entrepreneur. Okay? So for me, it was not a question of first clients. There were clients that I had who moved with me, but I assure you, it was not easy, because as soon as you move into an entrepreneurial organization, you suddenly realize that 75% of your time is spent on non-freight forwarding and logistics activities. Okay?
Right.
That includes hiring and managing and administering and strategizing and whole lot of other things which you don't really get involved in when you are working in a company, because you have a large company. And the other thing is, the environments change drastically. When you work in a large multinational, there's one environment, you have a lot of things, a lot of people for different things. And when you move into your own entrepreneurial project, the buck stops with you for everything.
Very true. Very true. You're responsible for everything, rather.
Everything, yes. And there is a period of being entrepreneurial that takes you through time, and you have to be prepared for that.
Right. So this leads to a question where you mentioned that a lot of your time was spent in doing non-freight forward activities, and so obviously you would need some people to take care of the routine work. So building a team, and that is where the whole idea is. And so how did you build your first team? What were the criteria you would have when hiring people, and how did you keep them motivated? Because you were working yourself, you were not motivated enough, you felt it was not being done enough. But obviously from the mistakes that probably your predecessors made, you would like to learn from that. So how do you keep your team motivated?
Personally, I found that my own motivation comes from being able to analyze complex terrains and then translate that to a client, as I explained earlier. I get a joy out of doing that. That excites me. But when you start your own company, you find different kinds of people, different cultures, different countries where they come from, different levels of education, and so on. And it is a lot of it is done from your gut. You have to make decisions. 100% you will make mistakes, and you will pay for those mistakes as well, because it's your own organization.
True.
But over time and given faith, you can win. I always tell people that if you are not religious, go out and start a business and you will become very religious.
That's a good takeaway, actually. So
Yeah.
when you say you go there, you win some, you lose some, but then this market is competitive and it is getting more and more competitive. So how do you stay ahead of in this competitive market? How do you stay ahead? How do you prioritize the ideas and opportunities that come, which I'm pretty sure a man of your stature and a thinker like you would have hundreds of ideas which comes. You have a lot of opportunities. How do you prioritize, segmentize, and decide this I go ahead with, this I will not go ahead with? So what drives you?
Well, the common approach to logistics and freight forwarding is to be price based, and I always counsel people to focus on providing value. Now, if you beat somebody else's price, we all do that from time to time.
True.
But if that becomes the mainstay of how you develop business, your growth will be very little, and your long-term success will be compromised. So you will find that as we spend time and invest in clients, there will be certain clients who appreciate the value proposition you have.
Right.
And you have to always gravitate towards those clients, and those are the ones that will back up your business. But if you sell on the basis of price alone, it is not a formula for long-term success or winning. And I always tell my colleagues that we have to get an understanding of what your clients are trying to achieve, and then propose solutions to them in a way where they get real value out of what you produce.
Right.
That is the best kind of relationship we can have with our clients, and that is the best kind of relationships for long-term growth.
That is truly amazing. But now with today's days and times, people are talking about AI, which is in the forefront. Half the people don't even actually know what is AI, but they use the term in everyday life, AI and chat GPT. So technology keeps evolving every time. How do you keep ahead of this? How do you keep in touch with the times? When do you decide this is the time for me to change my systems? I need to upgrade. I need to keep up with the technology that is evolving at all times. So you have to draw a line at some point. Now I change. You cannot keep on changing all the time. So when do you take that decision? How do you keep in touch with the technological changes and challenges?
Well, as a company, our values include constant evolution. And AI is certainly one aspect of that, but AI is not the only technology we use. What I tell my colleagues and how we strategize our own company is to be client-centric. Your clients are telling you what they are going towards and what they want. We have to listen, and you have to constantly evolve with them.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a reason why I said in the old days we were called cargo agents.
Correct.
Forwarders, and 3PL and 5PL and 7PL and supply chain and so on. In a strange way, that is an evolution of the value we provide. In the 90s, maybe even 2000, there was this whole lot of evolution in the positioning of our type of companies. Clearly, there were the integrators, the multinationals, and so on. And as a result of which, we started companies who provide the multinationalities by becoming part of a network.
Right.
Which is what we are doing today.
Correct.
Now, when we work together correctly as we should in a network, then you are providing multinationality as well as advances in technology, as well as capabilities that we offer to our clients.
Wonderful.
So it's a process. It is never something that you can arrive at. Every day you have to be aware of what AI does and what AI is going to do. But there are a lot of other technologies that have come into the equation as well. Blockchain, for example, and other capabilities are the way of the future.
Understood. Perfect. So having gone through all this, now if there's a budding entrepreneur, what advice would you give to someone who wants to start their own business or own a freight forwarding unit? Like, is there a book, something you follow which has inspired you, or is there a person who has inspired you? Is there something as an advice you would like to give?
So the entrepreneurial landscape has evolved tremendously. When we started companies in the old days, there was very little in terms of infrastructural support that was available to us. Today, we started these companies even before the advent of internet. Today, almost anything you want to do is visible online, and you need to make a decision as to what you are going to practice and what you have to ignore.
Right.
Now, the other thing that has become clearer, particularly in this part of the world, is that entrepreneurship is one aspect. There is another aspect which is called intrapreneur.
Okay.
Which is being part of an organization, but not quite an entrepreneur. And in retrospect, intrapreneurship seems like a good alternative as well, if you can find the environment, because I have had the privilege of working with huge multinationals, and I can assure you they offer an entrepreneurial career path. And sometimes you can actually gain all the benefits of being a full-fledged entrepreneur without a lot of the headaches. So earlier in this conversation, I said, the moment you hit the entrepreneurial chain, you realize that 75% of what you do becomes non-logistics related.
Correct.
So being an entrepreneur, you get to focus on the core business, and your ability to grow is much better without a lot of the stress. And you see that path in a number of companies where entrepreneurs have really succeeded.
Very interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Ashok, I think it was a very, very enlightening chat with you. Thank you so much for your time. And if there is any one last word you would like to close this with, I want you to give some words of wisdom. And with that, then we can come to the end of this wonderful discussion.
What I'd like to suggest to the younger generation is that this is an exciting business. Okay, the joy. I mean, it takes a particular kind of individual to see the benefits of being in freight forwarding, the excitement, the sheer pleasure, the ability to meet people of different cultures, different countries. It's a joy that I cannot. I believe it is a joy that I've always treasured. I think out of the 200 odd countries on earth, I must have visited about 95 of them.
Wow.
And you learn from every country. You learn from every people. You learn from all sorts of things. So it's a fabulous business to be in. And it is not a business that you can contain in a small description. It is got everything in terms of possibility. So that's what I'd like to share to the younger generation who wants to get into our business.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ashok. You have a wonderful
Thanks,
day.
Ganga.
This is PROLOG.
And you too.
Thank you. And this is PROLOG, brought to you by Professional Logistics Network, PROLOG, which is the award-winning network. Thank you.